Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. Welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of Topper Talk Podcast. As always, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Topper_Talk, and follow our YouTube channel at Topper Talk Podcast. Also, we're now on TikTok at Topper.Talk, and we're on Facebook. Just search Topper Talk. You'll find us over there. We're putting content on every platform. As always, share the episodes, tell a friend, send the link to somebody you know, give us a rate and review. We appreciate all that feedback and all the sharing that you can provide. As always, I've got Tyler here with me, man. Tyler, you ready to jump into a big episode?
Yeah, boy, let's talk about this week that was and the week that is.
Before we do that, let's get a word from our sponsor, and that is the Fireman Moving Company. This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. I promise you. I say it every episode, but I promise you it'll be the best call, best move you make regarding moving. If you're big move, small move, moving houses, moving across town, moving out of state, whatever it is, I promise you they will make your life easier. Now, before we jump into the main segment of the episode, which is talking about some basketball games from last week and what we got coming up this week, we're going to jump into our Red Towel wrap-up, as always, catching us up on all the sports that we've missed since we last recorded. So, Tyler, hit us with that Red Towel wrap-up.
All right, so it ain't going to be as long as the last week's, but WKU track and field competed in the Bellarmine Open last Friday. Emilia Lesniak had a personal record and set a new meet record to win the high jump with a mark of 1.75 meters. Her mark is currently best in Conference USA and tied for 41st nationally. Sorry, mispronouncing the name. Ayla Basic won the weight throw with a throw of 18.70 meters, and Cameron Horton won the 60-meter hurdles. 3 Hilltoppers won first, and 27 toppers finished in the top 10 in the meet. That included Louisville, UTSA, Xavier, and Bellarmine. Full results of the meet can be found on WKUsports.com or follow WKU Track and Field on Twitter. Women's basketball lost to New Mexico State 44-50 on 118, and then they beat UTEP 66-65 on the 20th. The Lady Toppers are currently 13-7 overall and 4-1 in Conference USA play, being behind only beaten FIU and MTSU. WKU football signed offensive line Stacey Wilkins II, a transfer from Louisiana Monroe. Former WKU offensive line Vinny Murphy committed to Tulane. Best of luck, Vinny. WKU football received a big commitment from TJ Finley, a 6'7", 255-pound QB transfer from Texas State, who also had previous stops at LSU and Auburn. Former WKU long snapper, who has since transferred to Arizona, Trey Naughton, was named a second-team academic All-American. WKU basketball posted that they had a cumulative 3.0 team GPA in the fall semester. WKU football officially announced a couple staff moves. Will Friend was named offensive coordinator and offensive line coach, and Zach Mizell was promoted to wide receivers coach. That's it for the Red Towel wrap-up. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, track and field back in the swing of things. 3 toppers in first place, 27 with top 10 finishes. We didn't run down all of them, but like we said, go over to WKU Sports, check out those full results. Had some football news in there. That quarterback signing, TJ Finley, there's going to be a competition this spring and going into the fall. Caden Veltkamp, great bowl game, but he's still going to have to earn that starting spot if he wants to be QB1. Brought in a guy with really impressive numbers there from Texas State last year. Should be fun. Then a couple staff moves. Will Friend, has long been talked about, coming on board the last couple months as offensive line coach, possibly offensive coordinator. That was confirmed today. then Zach Mizell, promoted to wide receiver coach. Saw a whole lot of players, former, current, giving him a lot of love and support. So I think that's a really good move when you can promote somebody internally. So good Red Towel wrap up. On to the main segment. We are going to talk about the WKU basketball team and the recent road trip that they had where they went and faced New Mexico State and UTEP last week. When we previewed those games, we are hoping to at least split those games or preferably win both. But unfortunately, we dropped both those games. First, we blew a 23-point early second half lead to New Mexico State. We allowed them to get hot from three and ultimately steal that comeback victory 72-70. Then on Saturday, we played at UTEP and we lost a high-scoring affair 93-87. Winning on the road is always hard. I saw a stat just earlier before we recorded that in Conference USA, the home team has won 75% of the games in the league play, which is the highest currently in college basketball. So ultimately, right now we're part of that statistic. We're losing games on the road. We're winning all of our games at home, but luckily we're coming back home. We dropped those two games that were both winnable in my eyes. We could have definitely held on beat New Mexico State. The UTEP game, really just came down to defense and turnovers. We could have easily won both of those games, but we're on the road, and we lost those games. Now we dropped to 13-6 overall. We are 2-3 now in Conference USA play. So Tyler, before we jump into the particulars of the game, how did those games on the road look to you? Two tough losses.
Well, with New Mexico State, we was looking at Robert Carpenter, who was their leading scorer. We thought maybe he'd have a big game. He only had 11 points. It was really their bench that came in and killed us. They had 52 points, off the bench, which is freaking crazy. But Petway and Harris had 19, 18 respectfully. I wasn't happy with, giving up a 23-point lead. I don't think anybody would, especially with 15 minutes going to game, and we just piss it away. Good teams don't do that. You got to keep that foot on their neck, and you got to just kind of milk the clock out if you can. But and then but Rawls was really a non-factor in that game. UTEP, we shot 61.9% from the field goal, 33.3% from three-point range. Really, in that game, well, none of these games went the way I thought they would. In UTEP, we did not get to the line. We did not hit our shots whenever we got to the line, and they got to the line just whenever they wanted to, and they made their shots. And we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. But I mean, out of these two, UTEP was like a waltz, and and then New Mexico State, I just can't believe we pissed away a 23-point lead. But it's college basketball, as John Rothstein says, we sleep in May.
Yeah, now looking at both those games versus New Mexico State, we were led by Christian Lander in scoring with 19 points. Tyrone Marshall also chipped in. He had 16 points and 6 rebounds. Brandon Newman had 13 points and 8 rebounds. Babacar Faye had 10 points and 6 rebounds. Noticeably absent from our usual trio of leading scorers there is Don McHenry. He finished the game with only 1 point on 0 of 8 shooting from the field, including 0 of 3 from 3. Played 31 minutes of action. Just had a really off game. Just never really got it clicking. Just didn't have a great game. It happens. We're not going to drag him through the coals over it. We had other guys that stepped up, and ultimately we had a chance to win that game. Going down to the wire, even after a big lead and giving up, we still could have won that game. Now, looking at the key indicators, WKU shot 44.6% from field goals. New Mexico State shot 38.2%. Three-pointers, we shot 7 out of 23 for 30.4%. New Mexico State shot 12 out of 27 for 44.4%. And I want to say at one point they hit like 8 or 9 in a row in the second half. I think they were 9 out of 14 in the second half. And that was really when they mounted that big comeback. That 3-point shot started falling. Our defense wasn't there, was allowing it to happen. That brought them right back into the game. Rebounds, we out rebounded them 39-31. Turnovers, we had 18. New Mexico State had 11. And then just looking at it just from a long view, this game was really kind of lost on turnovers. We were +7 on the turnover side, and then allowing them to be +5 on 3-pointers made, especially in that second half. They just got hot, and that just allowed them to creep back into the game, just slowly but surely, took that 23-point lead down to single digits and then got it all the way back. Then we had some foul trouble there at the end and just we couldn't hold on. It is what it is. We took a loss. So let's jump into grades for this game. Tyler, what have you got for the offense versus New Mexico State?
Well, they did hold us below our points per game, which we normally average 79.3. They held us 72 or 70. I'm sorry. Let's see, we shot 44.6%, 30.4%, and 72.2%. I'm gonna give them a C on this. I mean, gosh, I kind of want to go lower because they did hold us below our average and up. For the first 25 minutes, it would be an A, but once you get past that, and then we just turn the ball over. I'm especially on the fast breaks whenever we played out of control. We would get down there, and the point guard, whoever's bringing the ball up, would pass it to a cutter, and that they mishandle it. I think our first like 3 or 4 possessions were turnovers, and I mean you just can't do that. So I think I may go actually with a C minus. I'm taking this one kind of personally because since we was up 23. And then, of course, the defense probably won't be much better. But I'll give him a C minus.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. A C is pretty fair. It was an average output, an average showing. You mentioned, only scoring 70. We're average 79. We usually play a fast pace, fast brand of basketball. The 18 turnovers is obviously concerning. That's leaving a lot of empty possessions off the board for a lot of potential points. So didn't get it done offensively, didn't score enough points to win the ball game. So a C, I think, is pretty fair. What about defensively?
Well, we did give up a 23-point lead. Their shooters got hot. Granted, they were coming off the bench. I don't know if the players just maybe didn't know about who was coming off the bench because I don't think Petway or Harris or Kale. I know that's not how to say his name. I'm sorry. I don't think they typically score, 18, 19, and 11 through the season. I mean, you look at them, you take away their points. I mean, crap. The next leading scorer was Roberts, and then the next one had 4, 5, and 4. That was it. They played 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They only played 10. And 7 scored, and 3 of them was below 10 points. I'm going to go with the defense, probably C as well, honestly. If not a D on this one, because we was up 23 and they come back and win the son of a gun. So I'll give them a D. I'm going to be kind of harsh on this one.
Yeah, again, I'm right there with you. I mean, I was leaning C, but then that 9 out of 14 from 3 in the second half, that had been one of our strengths was 3-point defense. But then we let them get hot. We were over rotating. We saw a lot of quick passes to the corners, just open shots that were falling. And as they got that momentum, they just kept seeing shots go in. They just kept going in. So the defense, 72 points allowed, that's not a huge number. That'll win a lot of ball games. A lot of times it's first and 71. You hear that will win the game. And we were right there. Offensively, we didn't get it done. Defensively wasn't bad, but that 23-point lead being erased, and then especially the second half, them just catching fire and being red hot. I mean, it's a below average output for me. A C performance would have won that game, but we just weren't quite there. Even though the intensity is there, but just when they're making shots, it is what it is. What about coaching versus Mexico State?
Well, like I said earlier, the first 25 minutes was fine, but then the wheels started falling off, and New Mexico State started slowly coming back. And I felt like, yes, they was hitting a three ball. I feel like the coach probably should taken a timeout or two, slowed, things way down, drew up a play, a defensive play, or at least set something in motion. Be like, hey, you stay on him, and you stay on him. I don't want to say they should have ran a junk defense like triangle and two, or a boxing chaser. I hate them kind of defenses, but I mean, if when teams are getting hot from the three, you got to try to slow them down somehow, and the coach just didn't come up with a way to do that. So I'm probably going to be kind of harsh too. I'm probably going to give him a D plus or a C on this one.
Yeah, I'm right there. Again, I'm giving him a C. Ultimately, the coach isn't the one going in turning the ball over. The coach isn't the one going in and missing shots. But we didn't stop the bleeding. We allowed the 23-point comeback to happen. And then I'm not questioning this, but I have seen people question it. Why we continue to play Don McHenry a lot of minutes. He played 31 minutes, 0 of 8 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3. Took our last 2 shots of the game. With the game on the line, the ball was put in his hands. 90+% of games, I'm going to trust that. He's been the straw stirring the drink all year. But for whatever reason, if it was health, if it was something going on, he wasn't there versus Mexico State. But we still put the ball in his hands, and that's coaching. Maybe there was a better option there. I still trust Don. Like I said, 90% plus of the time, I trust that man with the ball in his hands, the game on the line. But we didn't get it done. Obviously, if he had made a couple of shots, it would have looked genius. But he finished with 1 point, didn't make a field goal in the game, just made a free throw. So that looks rough. So I'm going to give him a C minus. What about the overall grade in that loss to New Mexico State?
Well, I looked at the, I was thinking about it. C, D, D. Dang, giving up that big of giving up that big of a lead. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say a C minus. It is below our average. It's not pretty. Nothing pretty about that one. Just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So yeah, I'm going to say C minus.
Yep. Again, I'm right there with you. I mean, the cumulative grade is basically all the ones we just decided were basically C's, just average grade. So this game was just an average performance. We didn't get a win. We had a tough, close loss on the road, which we weren't favored. We were a 2.5 point underdog, and we lost by 2. So Vegas knows something. We lost that game. It was a winnable game by every metric. We surely could have had that upset on the road, but we didn't pull it out. So I'm right there with you. I think a C is deserved. Now jumping over to the UTEP game, the Saturday game, we were led by Don McHenry, who stepped back up and reasserted himself. He had 18 points and 5 assists. Rodney Howard also added 16 points on 8 out of 8 field goals. Tegan Moore had 15 points in 22 minutes of action due to Christian Lander not being available due to being in the concussion protocol. Then Babacar Faye had double-digit points as well. He had 12 points. Just, again, a really efficient game. How'd that game look to you, Tyler? I mean, again, another tough game, high-scoring game. How was the UTEP game?
Well, like I said earlier, it's kind of like a waltz. No one really really took control of the game, I guess, until the last 3 to 4 minutes when UTEP kind of went up, major, and then we kind of just clawed our way back to a 6-point defeat. But I Tay Hardy, I don't like him. I don't like him at all. Then behind him, Campbell Jr. and Powell. Those right there was their leading scorers. Really, with a game this high scoring, there's not much defense being played. A lot of turnovers, especially on our part. And like I said earlier, we did not get to the free throw line at really at all. We weren't being aggressive. Of course, we weren't really settling for just a lot of 3-pointers. I think this game was our less shot 3-point games that I can remember. We only took 12 of them. We only hit 4 of them, but still our field goal percentage was awesome. There's UTEP really won it at the free throw line. I know we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but dang, this is one I felt like we let slip away from us again, just like UTEP. These 2 losses just really, I feel like we let them slip away in this one more than I think. Well, I can't really say that, but this one sucks. I just wish we could have pulled this one out.
Yeah, let's look at the key indicators, and then let's get the grades done. Let's flush this road trip down. Let's get it down the drain, forget about it, move on to the next game. Looking at field goal percentage, you mentioned it. WKU just was red hot. We shot 61.9% from the field. UTEP was 46.3%. 3-point percentage, WKU was 4 out of 12 for 33.3%. UTEP was 7 out of 20 for 35%. Rebounds, we had 33, they had 34. Our assist to turnover ratio, WKU was even with 19 assists, 19 turnovers. UTEP had 15 assists, but only 14 turnovers, and they forced 15 steals. They had 15 steals to our 8. So those are direct just takeaways, not unforced, turnover, shot clock violations, throwing the ball out of bounds, tip ball out of bounds. They had 15 steals. That's something they focus on. That's something they did, and had a lot of extra possessions that turned into points. Then you mentioned the free throw battle, and quite frankly, a disparity. We were 5 of 12 from the free throw line, 41%. UTEP was 24 out of 29, 82.8%. They made double what we attempted. That's quite frankly, that's the ball game. We had 21 fouls called against us. They only had 14 fouls called against them. I'm not blaming the refs at all. I think aggressive teams get fouls called, and we weren't defending without fouling. We've talked about that many times this year. That we have to be able to defend all the way through the shot clock, not foul, have good help defense, and just force a bad shot, get the rebound, and take off the other way. We didn't do that. So basically that's where this game was lost. Careless turnovers and being unable to go without fouling, and then that huge free throw disparity. So let's jump into grades. What do you got for the offense versus UTEP?
Well, 87. That's above 79. That's above our. I just want to get to the points in the paint and all that. It's above our average. Our points in the paint was
60.
12. I'm sorry. Yeah. Points in paint was 22 to 14. WKU to UTEP. Fast break points 12 and 12, so matched up there. Assists 7 to 7. No, I'm sorry. That's halftime. I'm sorry. I do not have the full. I'm sorry. I don't have them here. You say points in the paint was 60?
It was 60 to 40 points in the paint. We dominated points in the paint.
Points in the paint was awesome. 3 points, not so much. if you look at the people who scored in double digits, Tegan Moore, that's awesome to see him up there, man, getting 22 minutes. Ron Howard had 16, McHenry had 18, and Phi had 12. I mean, a lot of people was getting points. The ball was getting spread around. I'm going to give the offense a can't say A because we got beat. I mean, I'd like to. I'm going to give them a B on it.
I'm giving them an A. I can give it to them. I don't think this game was lost on the offensive side of the ball. When you shoot 61% plus, I think you're doing a lot of things right. I think the other grades that we'll have are going to reflect why we lost. But turnovers obviously were a concern. But when we didn't turn the ball over, we were scoring at a very high rate. So I'm going to give the offense an A. What about defensively?
Well, we failed 21 times. And as I was told growing up, if you're fouling a lot like that and the opponent's getting to the line 29 times, you're playing sluggish. You're just not, there's no reason that they should have been there 29 times to our 12. It just shows they were being more aggressive. They were coming at us right in the chops. Our defense did hold them to 46.3% shooting from the field goal, 35 for the from the 3-point line. I mean, I feel like those numbers are good enough for this to be a lot closer game. 6 points is not a lot, but I mean, this was a high scoring event. I'm going to give the defense. Let's see, how many turnovers we have? Or turnovers, we had 8 steals. Not real good. And they had 14 turnovers. I'm going to give defense a D on this one. I mean, 93 points right there tells me that you ain't playing really good defense. Hardy had 27 points. That's there's no way he should have got that loose and got that open. 4-7 threes, 9 of 18 field goals, and he hit all his free throws. He got to the line 5 times, played 39 minutes. Still, 27 points on him, 19 on Campbell Jr. I'm going to give the defense a D on this.
I'm close to you. I'm going to give them a C. I mean, it's a tough, high-paced game. A lot of turnovers, which leads to even more kind of high-paced, turn around, going the other way real quick. The defensive intensity was there. We just weren't making stops. And I know that, that sounds crazy. But, even offensively, there was one point in the game we made 8 or 9 shots in a row. And it was still a back and forth game. They were right there with us. They were also making 8, 9 shots in a row. So, this was two good teams having a good offensive night. And defensively, even their best effort just wasn't enough, both ways. We both gave up a lot of points. But obviously, a little bit better effort would have won this game. You give up 93, you're going to lose a lot of games. So I'm going to give them a C. What about coaching versus UTEP?
At halftime, we were down 2 points, and I wish Coach would have told them, and he may have told them, hey, get in there and try to draw the fouls, go right at their chest, take it in strong, and maybe they just didn't listen. But I'm gonna give Coach a C on this.
Yeah, again, I'm literally exactly where you're at. I'm gonna give him a C. Again, I think the coaching job this year has been phenomenal. I think we've said that from game one. We've seen the defensive intensity, the attention to detail, the defensive rotations, the hustle required to be on the court. If you're not putting forth the effort, you're not going to be out there. And sometimes being on the road, higher elevation game, fast pace, you're playing without Christian Lander and Jalen Jackson, for different reasons. Sometimes you just have multiple variables that just bite you in the butt and you lose a game. It happens. Life on the road, winning on the road is tough, but I think coaching wise, we're obviously in a lot better spot than we've been in several years. We'd like to get over this hump and win these close games, especially on the road. Just right now we were not consistently winning on the road. Coming back home, I feel real good. We talk about FIU, I'm going to feel real good about it. But 2-3 right now in conference, but 3 road losses. That's life on the road. It's tough. So I'm gonna give them a C. What about your overall grade for this road sweep of losses?
I think all for both games, or just for this one. Just for this one. I guess I'll give them a B on this. Good mix of everything. B. Well, I'm going to favor a little bit higher because I don't want to be the complete butthole that the harshness. So yeah, I'm going to give them a B for overall.
Get off the Facebook message boards because they, the negative Nancy's are on Facebook. I promise you. The sky's not falling. Winning on the road is tough. I'm going to give them a C for just an average road swing, an average game. Slightly above average would have won this game, would have won both games, but it is what it is. We lost. Those guys still have to come back to Diddle. I think we're going to be fine. At the end of the season, we still are going to control our destiny. We've got to start winning some of those games, but we're definitely going to win the home game. And now we turn our attention to getting back into Diddle Arena. We host FIU this Thursday at 7 p.m. On ESPN Plus. WKU enters this game with a 13-6 record, 2-3 in conference, while FIU is 7-12 overall with a 2-2 Conference USA record. This game is a coaches versus cancer pink out game. The first 5,000 fans in attendance will receive a pink Topper shirt, and there's also an opportunity to bid on a player's worn shooting shirt that will be directly contributed to fighting cancer. And they also just added a new item to their auction, which is the first row tickets behind the WKU team bench. You can bid on those tickets and have literally a front row seat to the coaching, the action, the players, the interaction, and all those funds, all those proceeds are going to go directly to helping fight cancer. And you can tell this cause, this game, this purpose was very near and dear to Coach Lutz. If you saw his pregame presser, that came out earlier today, it was very close to his heart, how it affected him, how it's affected his family. So I really love this. He said we stole it from Creighton. The coaches versus cancer thing's been there for a long time, but bringing it to Western, making it a pink out game, and just having these auction items and just raising money for it. I hope that's something that we can continue going for a long time. Now FIU is coming off a loss most recently to Liberty, 78-69. The ESPN Power Index really likes WKU to win this game with a 76.1% chance of winning. WKU is still undefeated at home. We're obviously looking to get back on a winning track after that tough road trip. So, Tyler, how does this game versus the FIU Panthers look and feel to you on paper? Unmute.
It's a good thing I wasn't saying that because I was on mute. Thank you. So I'm just going to start out by saying our history versus FIU. Our record's 27 wins, 10 losses. Last loss was 126-23 at FIU with a score of 69-78. Our home record versus FIU is 14-4, and our average points is 75. The FIU's notable losses, or not notable games, is lost at UCF 85-62, lost at Miami 82-65, won at Houston Christian 83-74, loss versus Marshall 80-69, win versus New Mexico State 77-67, win versus UTEP 72-62. So, they hosted New Mexico State and they hosted UTEP. Both won that game. UTEP by 4, New Mexico State by 10. So they might have a good defense if they can hold UTEP to 68 points whenever they scored 93 on us. I think this game is going to be close. Every game I feel like we played in, other than maybe Jacksonville State, has been close, especially at home. Well, here in recent weeks, and I just feel like this game is going to. I don't think it's going to be a Tums tosser. I think we'll win. I don't think it's going to be a Tums tosser to quote Randy Lee, but I think it will be a good game, and it's a game we definitely need to win because we're like what bottom third in the conference now. Yeah, Liberty and MTSU's underneath us. That's funny. Yeah, I think this will be a good test for us. Granted, they are what 7-12, 2-2 in conference. That's not. Dang, that's really not good. No, I will think we're going to win this game. So yeah.
Now, we asked our friends over at the FIU Pause Up podcast. We asked them to help us get familiar with this FIU Panthers team this year. First, we asked them how this season has played out as far as preseason expectations up until now, early in this conference slate. And Tyler, what they say?
They said the original expectations for this FIU team were that their tough non-conference slate, which included UCF, University of Miami, and FIU, would prepare us for a conference slate. This was a team that is expected to do well through the conference slate, and that it is what we have seen from them thus far. The expectations haven't been met in my eyes, but a strong next 2 weeks can really change that. FIU held leads in many non-conference games this season, with Miami as the most notable one, along with FGCU, which they led by 16 and blew it. Thankfully, the conference slate has given FIU a strong 2-2 record to begin the season. But right now, this stretch of games is can certainly define the direction of this team is taking.
And then, as always, we asked them, who are the biggest offensive threats for their team so far this season? Who's that, Tyler?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to butcher this man's name. The most notable offensive player on the FIU team right now has been Javonte Hawkins, who is averaging 13.3 points per game, 2.2 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and is shooting 44.1% from behind the arc. He not only holds the highest three-point percentage in Conference USA, but is among the top 20 in the nation as well. Along with Hawkins, we need to talk about last year's Conference USA freshman, Arturio Dean, who has been a threat on the offensive side of the ball this season, averaging 12.3 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game, 4.4 assists per game, and on the defensive side of the ball, he leads the nation in steals per game. Someone who seems to be on the uprise is Jaden Lipscomb. He didn't start or play much to begin the season, but since the FAU game, he has played consistent minutes. He is averaging 6.9 points per game, 1.2 rebounds per game, 1.3 assists, and is shooting 42.9% from behind the arc. Aside from Hawkins, he is the team's best three-point shooter. Also great at passing up shots to get better ones.
Yeah, then our friend Kevin over there at Pause Up podcast also stated that right now the Panthers' biggest weakness is rebounds. They currently rank as the worst team in Conference USA in rebounding, and along with that, they give up a lot of three-pointers and field goals. In fact, they give up the highest field goal percentage and three-point field goal percentage in Conference USA, and this is primarily due to the press defense that they run. When it is broken, they will see players have a lot of open shots, but when it works, teams will have struggle to move the ball and have to call timeouts or turn the ball over. Now, this FIU team is a full court pressing, turnover causing, chaos and havoc wreaking team that really reminds me of those Shaka Smart led Virginia Commonwealth teams of yesteryear. If you remember those teams from many years ago, he was just full court press, high intensity, all game. So now we're going to get into some keys to victory for the game. Before I jump into yours, Tyler, I asked Kevin over there at Paul's Up Podcast, what does FIU need to do to win this game? And he gave me 3 keys to victory. First, he said FIU needs to just force turnovers and take advantage of them. FIU struggles to take advantage of turnovers and second chance opportunities. Then he said they have to get pressure on Don McHenry, who is one of the best overall scorers on WKU and in the conference. And then lastly, they need to make WKU uncomfortable. Go out there with as many bigs as you can and try to out rebound them. Again, they're last in the conference in rebounding, and we're first in the conference in rebounding, top 30 in the nation. So Tyler, now let's jump into your keys to victory. What's your number 1 key to victory versus FIU?
My first one's going to be play under control. When we played New Mexico State, like I said earlier, we were getting fast breaks, and we were throwing the ball away. We had so many turnovers. We definitely need to play under control, so we limit our turnovers and hopefully win the turnover battle.
Yes, it's turnovers. We can't have 15, 16, 17, 18 of them. It seems like we've gone against a really tough stretch of teams that are near the nation's lead in turnovers in New Mexico State, Sam Houston, and now FIU. Several teams that are at or near the top of the nation's list in turnovers per game, and they literally have a guy, Arturo Dean, that leads the nation in steals per game. So, you talked about it. We heard Coach Lutz talk about the turnovers created and the turnovers we've had the last couple games. FIU does it in a full court defense, pressing you as soon as you throw the ball in. They're jumping, trying to make you throw bad passes, throw the ball out of bounds, give the ball right back to them and lead to quick points. So we've got to take care of the ball. We've got to value the ball. Steve Lutz said that several times. We have to value the basketball no matter who's bringing the ball up. We don't know the status right now of Christian Lander, who's in concussion protocol. So if he's not playing, that's another ball handler that we're down. And it can't all fall on the shoulders of Don McHenry. Whomever has the ball and is bringing the ball up the court or just has the ball in their possession period. We have to value that possession, that ball, and not turn it over to FIU. What's your second key to victory?
Be aggressive with the ball and get to the free throw line and hit our shots. Like I said, last game we only had 12 free throws. We hit 5 of them. I don't like that. That's one thing that I did like when Stansbury was here. We got to the free throw line a lot, and I guess I kind of got spoiled by that. And I would like to see that continue on this season. Because what's our free throw percentage? Let's see, it's right here, 67.8%. I think I said whenever we did our our conference breakdown, that's one thing I'd like to see get better, and I'd still like to see that get better, and still like to see us get to the line a lot more than what we are.
My second key to victory is going to be limiting the 3-point field goal percentage. I mean, we can't have a team come out and shoot 40%, from 3. Especially if we're expecting to win this game, if we're going to jump out to a lead, we know, just similar to New Mexico State, that when you get down, 10 plus points in a game, you start firing up threes to try to come back. You try to get that momentum on your side, and we have to keep doing what works for us. Stay home on defense, try to force tough shots, and that starts, at the 3-point line. When they bring it across half court, don't let them get a good, clean look immediately. Obviously, let that shot clock go down, and have them force up a tough shot. So I think limiting the 3-point percentage, which has been a strength of ours all season, but we've seen when that jumps up, and we let teams make 35% plus, that it can bite us, and we'll lose games that way. What's your third key to victory?
I'm going to harp on it again. Take care of the ball. In the last 2 games, we've had 37 turnovers, which is absolutely terrible and mind-blowing to me. and we just can't give the opponents that many extra. We can't give the opponents that many extra chances to score on us. So definitely, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but take care of the ball. Limit turnovers.
I'm going to go with guard without fouling. We've mentioned this one several times. When we are behind the 8 ball and allowing the other team to go to the free throw line and get points when the clock's not moving, bad things happen. I'm not saying we need to be super ultra aggressive and we need to, have the Stansbury motto of we make more than they attempt. But we definitely need to be conservative in, I guess, just our defensive style. We need to be intense. We need to be aggressive. We need to be, all 35 seconds of the shot clock, but we can't foul. We can't get down to 2-3 seconds left on the shot clock and foul them and put them on the free throw line or getting the bonus early. Because all that comes with that is headaches. Suddenly you're putting in bench players because players have 2, 3, 4 fouls late into the game. So we have to guard without fouling and, not turn this into a free throw contest. We want to keep pushing the pace and be scoring while the clock's moving, not letting them get the freebies, the uncontested throws from the free throw line, as I like to call them, because they're not free throws. You have to make them. But we need to guard without fouling, plain and simple. Who's your MVT? Who's going to be that most valuable topper versus FIU?
Well, I know who you're probably going to pick, so I'm not going to pick him. I've actually thought a lot about this. I was going to go with Rodney Newman, or I'm sorry, Rodney Howard. That kind of gives you a little hint of who I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Brandon Newman. He's our leading rebounder with averaging 6.2 a game, second leading point scorer. And I don't know if Christian Lander will be back or not. I know earlier in the week, Coach said that he is questionable. So it would be nice to see Rodney Howard end up getting a double-double, and I think he will. I know he will. I know Babacar can too. But with this game, I'm going to roll with Brandon Newman.
Brandon Newman's a good pick because he's that utility knife player. He does it all. He'll score, he'll rebound, he'll assist, plays good defense. I really like Brandon Newman. I think he's kind of undervalued in our system, doesn't get the shine that he deserves because he's a solid player. But you're right. I'm going to go with Don McHenry. I think he is, for a reason, is our leading scorer. I think he, when he's aggressive, when he's probing the defense and scoring from all 3 levels, getting to the basket, scoring from the mid-range, knocking down threes, I think it really opens up a lot of the other offense that we want to run, whether it's feeding Babacar or Rodney in the post, whether it's kicking out to Dante or Brandon shooting threes. I think when he's playing his best game, his best offense, I think that's when we look our best and we have the best chance of winning. So it's Don McHenry until it's not Don McHenry at this point. What about your score prediction? How do you have this game playing out versus FIU?
All right, so like I said, I read out the history. Average point 75, 27-10 overall record, 14-4 at home. With this one, I thought about it multiple days. I'm gonna go 77. It's gonna be close. Top still gonna win 77-72. I feel like that's a good spot to pick at right there. 77-22, tops win, you win. We live, baby.
Before I give mine, I want to give the score prediction that Kevin over at Pause Up Podcast gave us from his perspective. He says that he thinks that FIU is going to lose. WKU is going to win 83-77. Hilltopper victory. Again, life on the road is hard. CUSA home teams are winning 75% of the games. I don't disagree with him. I think WKU does win. I think it's more along the lines of an 80-77 victory. Not a huge margin of victory, but I think scoring 80 points is going to win a lot of ball games. I think we do enough to win. I think we're hungry, and need to get back on the winning track. And I just really feel like we're going to be tough to beat at home. Coach mentioned it in the presser previewing this game that we've had good attendance the last 3 to 4 home games, 5,000 plus. Now the students are back in session, so we should have an extra, 1,000, 2,000 there. The coaches versus cancer pink out, may attract more people to come to this game. So just expecting a really solid crowd. The weather's eased up. It's not freezing and nasty, miserable, freezing snow outside. Might rain all week, but that's washing all the nasty away. So really expecting a solid crowd in Dental Arena, bringing back that dental magic and helping will this team to victory, not only for Conference USA's sakes, but for Coaches versus Cancer and raising some good money to go fight a good cause to try to beat this terrible disease that has affected so many of us. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good game. It feels like it's been a while since we've been back in Diddle, but I'm ready to have another fun experience in Diddle and obviously have a nice win. So, Tyler, give us your final words and take us out of here.
Yeah, I think this Coaches versus Cancer is a great thing. So many people, I'm sure most everybody has been affected by someone in their family or someone they know having cancer. My mama, she had breast cancer. She has beat it. And I wish I could be there Thursday. So I think he said at the 12-minute mark, everyone's going to stand up and hold up a sign that says who they're standing for. I think that's really awesome. I know Coach Lutz said that 5 or 6 people he know has been affected by cancer. So I know this means something to him, a lot to him. It's going to be good to have the students back in the stands because, that's what college sports is all about. Having the student at college kids actually there, being extra loud, extra ruckus, going to make the diddle, environment extra hostile and hard for FIU, which is exactly what it needs to be. So I just hope that everyone can come out, support the Hilltoppers and support this good cause that the basketball team is putting on, because it really is awesome to see that. And I'm super stoked that the basketball team is being a part of this Coaches for Cancer. It's good to see the track and field being good and setting personal records there. And I hope the Lady Toppers can win this week as well. I know after this game, we have basically another week before our next basketball game. So if you want to get your Western basketball feel out, you better come Thursday. Be loud, be proud, wear red, wave that red towel. Let's go. And with that, I will say, Moth, who has better than us?
Nobody, buddy.
Nobody, boy.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.
Later, guys.
See you.